Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Lunch Breaks. I'm Alex Coop,
I'm James Griffin.
and we are going to play some Persona Arena later. But first, we just want to mention that we do have a prize to give away, Superman Unbound. But first, I think James has some things to say, but you ate my chocolate again.
Oh, that was mean. Ladies and gentlemen, the day has finally come. Persona 5 is a thing, it's happening. And what better way to celebrate that than playing some Persona 4 Arena, another great game. Alex, how can you be so lethargic? Come on, man.
Shut up, James, okay? You've been talking about this for months, and it's really annoying. So just let it all out now and get it over with.
All right. How can you not be excited about this, man? JRPGs have been stale forever. Final Fantasy 13 sucked. 13.2 sucked. 13.3 will probably be really bad. They're not even calling it 13.3, they're calling it Lightning Returns. But that's why we have Persona. Saves everything. I mean, I've played a ton of JRPGs over the last few years. Tales games, Ni no Kuni, and it's all cute and fun. But it's really a dying genre right now. And Persona, I think, is one of the only games that's kept it fresh and new. And for anyone who doesn't know, Persona is a dungeon crawling / life simulator kind of game. During the day, you're a cool average high school guy, looking at babes, trying for the swim team. And at night, you're playing with these creatures called Persona, tackling some dungeons. It's almost like Pokemon. You fuse Persona, make stronger Persona, they evolve, etc. It's a lot of fun.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was so much detail on the actual students and their daily lives at high school. So are these characters just like cardboard cutouts, or is there actually some depth to them? You know, am I going to care if I start playing Persona?
No, fair question. At the beginning, it really seems like a lot of them are archetypes, especially in 3. You got like the goofball, you got the robot chick, which seems to always come up in all these anime.
Robot chick?
I mean, after about playing for a little while, once you get to know these characters, it's a lot deeper than you think. For example, the guy who plays as the goofball, throughout the series, throughout the game, you find out that his dad has drinking problems, and that the way he is because his dad has been like abusing him and stuff like that. And that to me is another big part of it. You get so invested in the characters, and it's a really long game. This isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. It's 80-hour sort of game. But you become so invested that you can't put the controller down because you just need to find out what's going to happen to these characters. And another great thing about Persona is that the day life and the night life are connected. So during the day, you make these relationships with people, you go on dates or whatever, you become better friends with certain characters. And by strengthening these relationships, the stats go up at night for your Persona. And it's really amazing that they've implemented both these two worlds together.
That's interesting. And I remember you talking about mythological characters and stuff during one of your rants throughout the past couple months. So you're telling me that they actually use but like actual mythological figures from history, and they somehow implement it into the Persona series?
The Personas themselves are actually based on mythological characters. So there's like, if you like Norse mythology, there's Thor, Loki, Odin. There's actual Personas in there. And what's great is they have all this original character design. So you get a big blurb about like their origins and stuff, and you get like their interpretation of it. So it's really cool from both someone who loved mythology, myself growing up, and someone who likes art design.
So like, how much different is Loki in this version than the version that we all know for the most part?
They have some unique designs for sure. I think they really like to get ridiculous, and not ridiculous like it looks silly, but ridiculous in the way that it's different. It's their own style, so it does not look
different is good.
Yeah. I believe Loki is kind of purple in Persona 3. But he still looks pretty cool. He's still the same kind of trickster god, yeah.
What? Purple?
Yeah.
Cool. So this is Arena though. So this is a fighting game. How much of a relation does this have to the actual story of the Persona series? Is this just like some random brawler that they created, or does this actually have any ties to the rest of the series?
No, it's a really good question. As a lot of spin-off fighting games are just ridiculous nonsense. But I think the Atlus team really wanted to push this as like a game that every Persona fan needs to get. And it's actually a canon sequel to Persona 3 and 4, and it ties the two games together, which I think is great, because so many fighters right now, they don't really have a story. It's just there's an arcade mode for like a little cutscene, but this, it actually pushes. And what's great is that you see the story from like 12 different perspectives, and it opens new pathways and stuff, which I think is great. Also, instead of making the game themselves, which probably would have been a lower quality, they outsourced it to Arc System Works, who are known for a lot of fighting games like Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear back in the day. No, I think it's really great what they've done. And this is just kind of one of the examples of how they've been pushing the Persona brand. There's a live musical play, which I think is a bit ridiculous. There's movies, one came out in theaters last week. There's TV shows. There's I think a yearly now, concert series with music from 3 and 4 and from 1 and 2, but to a lesser extent.
Which you said you liked.
Yeah,
the concert series?
I personally like it because I think the music is so great. Anyways, another great thing is that Sega bought Atlus, which a lot of people were really scared about, and they have good reason to. But on the bright side is that there's a lot more Persona games coming out. For example, there's 4 that were just announced. One obviously was Persona 5, which I think is the one everyone really cares about. But there were other ones too. There's 3 others, which no one expected. There's a sequel to Persona 4 Arena, which is coming to PS3. There's a JRPG game coming for 3DS, which is huge for Nintendo owners, as Persona's never come onto that platform ever. And the other one, which I'm not so excited about, but I know some people in our office have been raving about, is
Dancing on the Vita.
God, do you have to say it? Persona 4 Dancing All Night is a thing too, apparently. Yeah, you got to see your favorite Persona characters break it down, man, and beat bad guys along the way.
Well, I don't know. I know some people are excited, but that sounds super lame. But it is cool that Sega is giving Atlus so much freedom to do what they want with their series of games, which is cool, and that's a good thing, right?
Oh yeah, there's some great things about Atlus and Sega, what they're doing for it. I think it's great that Sega's letting them go into their old franchises, right? They're saying basically you can revitalize whichever one you want. And I know a lot of people are looking for more Phantasy Star games, and I can tell you that Atlus would do that sort of series justice. The problem is we're getting all these spin-offs now, like Dancing All Night, which as someone who is a prospective Vita owner, I'm kind of worried because it's kind of pushing me away from the Vita. I don't really want to play a dancing game. I want to play Persona. I want to play an RPG. And the fighting game is one thing. It doesn't take away from the franchise. It's something that's well made. It's not a cheap cash-in. Whereas the dancing game that's pretty much what it is. It's a cheap cash-in.
Yeah.
And I'm all for extending the Persona brand and bringing it more mainstream, so I thank Sega for that, and they definitely have the potential for that. At the same time, I want them to do it right. I want it to be a respectable franchise. I don't want to see Sonic the Hedgehog, Persona Free Riders coming out.
Persona Free Riders.
Oh, man. But I mean, I was kind of worried about Arc System Works making Persona 4 Arena because they're outsourcing, right? It's a whole different thing. And especially since some of their past series, like Blaze Blue, have had some really over-sexualized designs, some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Some fan service, man.
That was the one with the crazy flying squirrel lady with the tremendous amount of exposed underboobage.
Oh yeah, that's the one. And on that note, I think we should take a quick break. But before we go, we once again want to, for anyone who's just tuning in, we're going to be giving away Superman Unbound. So stay tuned, and we'll show you how to win it. We'll be back soon with some Persona 4 action.
See you in a bit. Well, we're back now, and we're at the character selection screen, and I'm gonna be this guy.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, personally looking at it is Kanji Takumi, who is possibly the best Persona character.
Please leave it to me.
So this
Picture
one-
in your head your own appearance as well as your
But what's great about Kanji is that he's a character who, in the game Persona 4, which is what he's from, he's dealing with his sexuality and his gender, which I think is something that they really don't tackle in video games. And the way Persona does it is there's actually one dungeon that is based on his inner thoughts about his struggle with his sexuality. And I think a lot of people were really touched by it. It's a very moving thing because on the outside he's this really tough looking guy, right? On the inside his like favorite hobbies are stuff like knitting and
Holding a chair and carrying it around?
oh no, that's just for this game.
Okay.
It's like it likes to be over the top. What's ridiculous is how they explain how all these characters are fighting each other, but it somehow worked out actually. I was skeptical at first, but
So what kind of is the reason they're all fighting?
basically they're all kind of trapped in this TV world, and this Grandmaster's making them all think that they want to fight each other. So they're basically fighting the other person to stop them from fighting, but they don't know it.
Oh, okay.
It was
Interesting.
literally the only way they could have done it that made any sense, and even it doesn't make sense sometimes. Still, I enjoyed the storyline for Persona 4 Arena, and I really enjoyed some of the characters for Persona 3. And I'm playing a Persona 3 character, meeting characters from Persona 4, which is great. What's really interesting is the main character of Persona 3, something happened to him. I won't say what happened, no spoilers. But because of this, when they see the main character in Persona 4, they're reminded of the character in Persona 3. So there's a lot of like dialogue about that. And I mean, as a Persona fan, I love... Oh, here we go. Ah, nice try. Oh!
I beat you at a Persona game. But yeah. You also mentioned that they do like tests and stuff in the Persona series. Like they actually go to school and they write tests. So can you go into like more detail about that? Because I'm just a little confused. Like you actually have to sit down and like flip through pages and pages of text and questions, or how detailed are these?
It's not that detailed. You have, during each semester, sort of the game, it goes through seasons, you have days where you have exams, right? And you get asked like 1 or 2 questions during the exam, but a lot of it depends on the level of your like intelligence, which is something you can improve. You still get a lot of extra points though for just answering your question correctly. And some of them are really random things like where is the sun like how far away is the sun from the earth, stuff like that.
I think I know that one.
Yeah.
I'm
Where's
actually
the equator located? That was one of the questions.
Oh, okay.
And I was really hoping everyone got that right, but I'm not sure. Another question, there's some science questions. There's some, with history they keep it Japanese, which I think is great because, I mean, it keeps it true to form. But when they localized it for North America, they definitely switched it up.
So like how much of Japanese culture do they actually kind of implement into the Persona series? Like how accurate is that?
I think it depends on what aspect you look. When you look at high school life in general and the way the semesters go, it definitely is authentic, I think, because the way the breaks are done is the same as Japanese high school. The way exams are really pushed on you is another big thing. For example, like I was talking, there's one character named Junpei who's the delinquent who like is kind of a jokester, just kind of goes out, chills, has drinks and stuff like that. He's like frowned upon by everyone else. And not to the same like he's not even that lazy a person. He just feels like a North American character because I think our culture in general focuses less on studying all the time and being proficient in everything, but rather this American dream ideal where you're going outside, you're having fun in high school.
Right.
So it really has that atmosphere of like you got to study all the time. What's interesting is every night before you go to bed, there's an option to just study, even when there's not exams coming up, which to me is just that.
Really?
Yeah, I know. I mean, like, it's funny because I was like, if I actually was this person in this game, what would I do? I would never study this much.
Well, at least the option's there, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like, you're basically supposed to. And some funny stuff is if you study too much, you get sick and stuff like that, and you can't sleep well, and your mood goes down. So there are some repercussions to not to studying too much.
All right, I'm not gonna lie, you sort of have me interested. Like, I do want to try this out. So this game is on the Xbox, not Arena. Persona series is on the Xbox,
Nope.
right? Like,
Not at all. Arena is actually on the Xbox. And so is this great game called Catherine, which is by the same people. But the Persona series is PlayStation only, man, and it looks like it's going to be staying that way because Persona 5 is exclusive PS3 for winter 2014.
That's brutal.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. It's not like they're like, oh, we hate Xbox.
Oh, I know.
It's more like the entire fan base is on Sony's console.
Yeah.
What's interesting, if you look at Arena, the sales, Sony sold, like the Sony version sold like twice, 3 times as much as the Xbox one. And I don't even think the Xbox sold more than a few thousand copies here in the US.
Yeah, not surprising.
It's just how it is, right? They know their fan base. It actually, I think, they might not even break even on the Xbox version because of the lack of units sold. But there may be hope. Maybe the Xbox One will really be like, hey, we really want to target this Japanese audience. So, yeah.
So, where, like, are these characters from all the Persona games that have come previous?
So here's how it works.
Previously,
there's a few characters, and like Akihiko and Mitsuru and Aigis, who are from Persona 3. And there's one more, Elizabeth. The rest of the characters are from Persona 4. It's more focused on a Persona 4 perspective, but they brought in Persona 3 characters for fans like me of Persona 3. There's also an original character, well technically 2, Shadow, Labris, and Labris, who are specific to Persona 4 Arena, which I think is kind of cool. It definitely adds it. And Aigis is obviously related. Sorry, Labris is obviously related to Aigis because they're both robots, right?
right?
And I think that's great because Aigis is a really big fan favorite, and so bringing in something to tie it in also really helped this game. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Anyways,
so are you
do
gonna
another
pick a
round?
character already?
I was waiting for you, man. You have to press X again.
Oh, there we go. I knew that.
All right. Now you gotta press X again, buddy. Pains.
I don't like this game.
Yeah, I don't think Arena is the best starting point. I think for someone like you who hasn't really got into the series, but it's definitely a fun pick up and play fighter. What's great is they've got this auto combo button where if you keep pressing square, it'll just do an auto combo.
I feel like I've been doing that quite often.
No, it feels great, doesn't it? No, I pretty much do that with any character I don't know, like right now.
Oh, look at that.
Oh yeah, you got a gun. No, it was another great thing about Persona 4 that I think Persona 3 didn't tackle as much was evolving some of the characters. Persona 3 definitely did, but Persona 4, it was the main focus, was the characters and less the story. For example, Naoto, who's got the pistol.
AKA Striker from Mortal Kombat.
You wanna be like that? Sure.
I'm kidding.
She actually disguises herself as a male throughout the entire game until they figure it out, because she wants to be a detective, but it's a role that's dominated basically only by males. And I think that's another thing, is it kind of tackles some gender inequalities. Yeah, I think that's really interesting how they do that. And like I said, a lot of these themes don't really come up in Western RPGs. Skyrim, definitely not.
Yeah.
Mass Effect, to some extent, there is actually some tackling. I mean,
yeah.
there's the same-sex option, which actually angered some people, which
I think
makes
that
me
got
sad.
blown out of proportion completely. Like, I don't understand why people got so upset, but I mean,
yeah,
they
because
did.
it's not like you have to do it.
Oh, I know.
You
It's
do
just,
it. It's an option,
Yeah.
you know, like in real life. Which
and
I
that's
thought
what
was
the
a bit
game is all about, is choices.
Yeah.
That's what the best games are about.
Well, there are choices in Persona. There's actually a lot of there's 5 or 6 different endings in Persona 4. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's how it is. In Persona 3, unfortunately, there's only 2 endings. And one of the endings is hilarious. It's pretty much you giving up, and then it just like ends, like you forget everything, and then it ends.
Wow.
It's very...
What are the chances of that ending being reached?
Literally you gotta choose. Like
Okay.
there's one that makes it very obvious. You gotta make the choice. But it's a really interesting concept because it basically asks you, well, do you want to die in ignorant bliss, or do you want to live knowing catastrophe? And I thought it was good. Hey,
Oh, I
on
know.
me, man.
I'm just dominating. It's all right. No big deal.
But yeah, I think, like you said, choices are a big thing in video games now, and Persona really pushes that. And I'm really hoping for Persona 5, which really apparently the focus is catharsis, where you're kind of chained to modern society, you're chained to all these things, and it's about breaking free from that. And I think if they do it right, they should really let you have real choices about that because I personally don't always feel chained by modern society. I'm not down with the power, man.
Yeah, well said.
So I'm really
Neither
hoping
am I.
those kind of choices come up. Yeah. So, Alex,
Oh my
I know you're not
goodness.
big on JRPGs. Have you played any?
Not so much. I've played a couple at like a friend's house here and there where they, they had Final Fantasy and they'd boot it up and show me their like level bajillion character and show me how they're just crushing everyone. But no, I haven't really dipped into many JRPGs at all on my own. I do love role-playing games, but
You
not the
stick to
J-
Western stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, for the
I know you're
most
big on
part.
Skyrim.
And like you mentioned before, I do have an Xbox, so it's kind of hard to find, titles like this.
yeah.
That's-
What's interesting about the 360 though is because the PS3 was such a failure.
Are you just playing the computer right now, or are you just like, am I losing this bad? I can't get out of this corner. Okay, anyway, sorry.
You are losing
Go on.
stuff. For the first few years on 360, they got games like Lost Odyssey, Tales of Vesperia, and a few others like Blue Dragon, which you'd think were supposed to be on a Sony console, but because PS3 was so bad with the launch, they didn't want to risk it, so they put it on Xbox. And
Yeah.
I think, like you said, there's not many JRPGs on Xbox. If you want a good starting point, the Tales series is great. And what's great about the Tales series, especially games like Vesperia, is they feel more like fighting games. Not like this, but like kind of 3D fighters,
Right.
rather than JRPGs. So you're not bogged down by this whole like over complexity of turn-based combat, which a lot of people think is boring. It plays like a fighting game. It's all real time. You fight with a party. You go against all these crazy monsters. You're running away from them. It's a good starting point. The problem I think with the Tales series, and I mentioned this earlier, that I did play Tales and they're fun, but they feel kind of like the same thing over and over again. Is that when you're talking about archetypes, every character is pretty much what you'd expect from an
Yeah.
anime. It's just stereotype after stereotype, and Persona, unfortunately, is one of the few sort of JRPGs that pushes away from that. Even Final Fantasy 13, which is supposed to be the pinnacle of JRPGs. Oh, you are a fiend. Is
One button, man. Just one button. So, what would you suggest to other people? If they want to play another game like this, but not Persona, is there another game that you can recommend to people
if you're
that
PS3
that
owner right now,
sidesteps like the generic stuff that you kind of mentioned before?
I mean, that's almost the point. There really isn't. There's one, Ni no Kuni might be the only example I can really think of, which is a game that has Studio Ghibli animation, Studio Ghibli centered graphics, and it plays kind of like Pokemon and Tales together. At the same time, though, the plot once again is very generic. It looks great, but that's about it. There really isn't much, and that's why I think people have really moved towards the Persona franchises, because it's a franchise that does something different, and that's not normal in not even in just JRPGs, in Japanese gaming. I think, especially with this last generation, Japanese games have really stuck to a formula rather than take risks like games like Mass Effect or Skyrim, which have really been like, let's just do something crazy.
Right.
And that's why, I think that's Persona, in all honesty, shouldn't be as big as it is right now. And it's not because it's not a great franchise, it's because there should be something bigger, grander, bigger production from Japan. There's just nothing good. Oh yeah, there you go. There just isn't. Final Fantasy, everyone was disappointed by. I was excited for 13.
So, is it safe to say that you're more of a Persona fan and not necessarily a JRPG fan, because you just said that there aren't really any other ones that are, really worth playing?
It's not that they're not worth playing. It's just that they play a lot
They're not
like the others.
comparable. Yeah.
They're not compared to Persona. I don't think so. No, Persona is a special series. I do like other JRPGs though. I've recently been playing Tales of the Abyss for 3DS, and as much as there are a lot of cliches, some of the character development I really enjoyed. Okay. For example, the main character starts off as this really whiny brat, but over time becomes this very mature human being. And in some ways that's also a cliche, but I don't think it's executed as well as others. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm trying to think of if there really isn't many examples I can give you. If you're a Wii owner, Xenoblade Chronicles is supposed to be great because, like I said, the story's cliche again, which is you're not going to find a difference for that. But the gameplay is it's real-time sort of stuff, which is really cool. So it feels like this true open-world experience, kind of like Skyrim, but with more RPG elements. rather than exploration. So if you're a Wii owner and you want something to play and you don't have Xenoblade Chronicles, that is probably the best JRPG on it. And for a while, it was the only good JRPG.
Yeah.
Period. That's really how bad it's been this generation. It took like 6 years to have a really decent one. And a lot of people will ask, oh, JRPGs haven't gone anywhere. Yes, in the sense that there's still a lot being made, but it's backwards thinking. It's the same thing over and over again. There's no evolution which it really needs. And I think it suffered in sales for that. And
do you think if it grew more popular here, there'd be more like incentive to push the JRPGs forward and come up with something creative, or that has nothing to do with it at all? You think?
Popularity is not the problem. It's extremely popular in Japan, and that's all it really needs to be. Here, I mean, it's niche, but it's not too niche that it doesn't sell. Like, it's not like visual novels, which no one in the world, well, no one in North America, sorry, I'm being very ignorant, cares about. I mean, the only good visual novel I can think of that sold well here is 999, and that was just like out of almost pure luck and the fact that it was just such an exceptional game. Yeah, I think North American people also don't like getting bogged down with text. I think that's something that everyone finds. They don't like reading stuff. They're more gameplay focused people. And I know that is, yes, in a way, a generality, but I mean, the games that are popular show that. Gears of War, there's a fun story, but people want to shoot stuff. They want to play board mode.
Yeah.
Whereas in Japan, I think people like being bogged down by these very complex, ridiculous stories. And personally, I do too. I'm really someone who likes to focus on atmosphere and story rather than just true gameplay. And that's why I was worried about this, but I got so addicted to it.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I love like reading books in role-playing games like Skyrim. Like, I'll actually sit down and read through all the books that they have to offer.
If you're that kind of person, then Persona might be for you. Actually, Persona 4 Arena, the way the story is told is visual novel. So you're actually reading a lot of it before you're playing anything.
Interesting. Well, guess we should give some more details on how to win this this prize.
Beautiful Superman Unbound. It's on Blu-ray and DVD, and you get a download code.
Awesome. So tweet, leave a comment in the ticker below.
Or tweet us saying you want to win this, and maybe tell us who's your favorite DC hero.
Yeah, favorite DC hero, and this could be yours. So in the ticker below, you can leave us a message, and best of luck to you. We're running out of time here, so we'll call it quits for now, but we'll be back next week with more prizes and more games.
We really hope you enjoyed watching some Persona 4 Arena and hearing about the series.
He kind of sold me on it, so I hope he sort of sold you on it.
Give it a chance, guys. Try something new, especially if you're someone who plays games a lot. This is something unlike anything else you'll ever play. I can promise that.
But now you're going to stop talking about it, right?
Yep, I promise.
Okay, good.
No.
I'm Alex Coop.
I'm James Griffin.
And we're the Lunch Breakers.
See you next week.